Hello everyone, welcome to Card Making Fundamentals and welcome to the Love is in the Air classroom. This is lesson number 4, and before we get started I want to share with you the items that we're going to need for this, our final card for the classroom. You're going to need a tape runner. You're also going to need some scissors. We're going to do some fussy cutting for this card. You're going to need those. You're going to need a craft pick for those difficult wobbly eyes, and you're also going to need some glue, and of course you're going to need your lesson kit number 4. Today's card is a fairly easy card, but we're also going to be making our envelopes after we get all finished. So let's jump in and get started. We're going to put all these aside here. This month's classroom, it seems like I'm not starting the new year off very well. I think it's going fabulous, but it's not as seamless as I would like. I've been having a lot of hiccups, but that's okay because, you know, we live and we learn, right? Let's set our envelopes aside. We'll work on those last, but we're going to go ahead and take everything out of our project kit here. Let's go ahead and we're going to set these aside. Let's start off. This is going to be a landscape style card. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and immediately start off by creating our background. Usually we stamp first. Let's create our card first. We're going to take this with the decorative edges and we're going to go ahead and adhere this on our card base, evenly spacing it. So let's break our tape runner, add a little bit of adhesive here. It's not going to go all the way to the bottom. We have another strip for that, but let's evenly space this. And I think that's wonderful. Once this is adhered, we can take our stripe paper and then evenly spacing this. We might have to trim off a little bit, guys. Let's trim off a little bit before we adhere this. There we go. Let's adhere this to the very bottom of this stripe paper. And again, we're evenly spacing it so it has the same amount of white showing all around. And I think that's, I'm going to zoom in a little bit, see if it's better. Okay, after we have this done, we're going to go ahead and take this. For some reason, I just love the way this looks. Like, it reminds me of chocolates, I guess. We're going to go ahead and flip this around, add some adhesive to the very bottom. And I didn't check, but it is, you want to make sure that your original, genuine, unique, authentic are facing right side up. And then you want the adhesive to be on the bottom. Okay, then we're going to take our border piece and we're going to add that. This is kind of extra long, so I did that intentional so we could space this evenly on our I need to add a little more adhesive to the bottom of our card here. Okay, I think that looks good. Now, there is a little bit of tackiness still showing, and that's perfect because this way we can line this up. Your border strip is perfectly 5.5 inches. So once it's lined up, guys, kind of lightly tack it, and then you're going to open up your card base, and we're going to trim off the excess with our scissors. You can actually take this now. We're going to go ahead and open up this package and take our twine out. Don't lose your eyeballs. You have 4 eyeballs in there. Don't lose those. Keep those in the package. And we're going to flip this around. lay your twine out straight, and then add some adhesive to the left and to the right. And then what we can do is flip this around, making sure that your twine ends on the side where your border is. Then flip this around and wrap this around. And then any excess overhanging, we can just trim off. You don't want too much because it will add bulk, because this is going to be directly adhered to your card base, and you don't want any added bulk. Once we have that done, and I'm out of tape again. What I'm doing is I'm using bits and pieces. So I'm going to use my tape runner, and I'm out of this tape runner too. Let's grab our Old Faithful, and then add adhesive, and then this is going to go back on our panel, but this time we have some string, making sure your string is evenly lined up. And I didn't get that lined up too well. Let's line this up better. I want the string to go over the seam, guys. Oh, I taped the heck out of that, didn't I? Let's try it one more time. See, I want the string to go over the seam. Once we have that done, we can go ahead and adhere that to our card base. And you want to go about 1/2 inch up from the bottom. Just make sure it is even. And the nice thing about having grid lines is you can use those as a guide. Okay. And that's our card base is good for right now. Okay. Next we have a full panel of white cardstock. We're going to take our stamp set and do a little bit of stamping now. Kind of did things different this go around. We're going to remove our plastic here, and then we'll take our acrylic block, and we're going to stamp 2 different birds this time. So our first bird is going to be with a red ink, so I'm going to stamp that first, because our second bird is going to be with brown ink. So first we'll stamp with red ink, and we're going to stamp 2 of these guys. We'll stamp him over here. Okay, and then I already rehydrated my stamp chamois. When you do this, run this under warm water, guys. Let it, if it's dried out, you know how it turns like back to paper. Run under warm water and then squeeze all the excess. You don't want it to have a lot of moisture in there. Then you can wipe your stamp. And we're going to stamp actually one more time. So I cleaned that off really good. And then we're going to take our, I didn't tell you needed your inks for this card, but I guess you do here. We're going to add our brown ink over our second bird. I'm mumbling or rambling. I'm sorry. Okay, let's ink this up and stamp this up in the corner. This way I know my wings aren't going to overlap. Okay, so we have 2 birds going. This last card is kind of a Valentine's Day e-card. So we'll put this guy back, and then we're going to grab our wings. And again, let's line these up. Grab our next wing. We're not going to make an extra set of wings with these. We are just going to stamp them, and we're good. So you want to make sure that they're even. I think that's pretty good. What do you think? The best thing about this is you can pick this up, and then for our red bird, we're going to stamp some green wings. We're going to use our lighter green ink for this, and I'm going to do something and stamp it over here, and I'm glad I did, because my green ink turned brown. So instead of using the pale green, we're going to use the dark green. No, we better use the pale green. Let's stamp it a few times to see if we can get that brown ink off. That's better, huh? Okay, one more time. You know, these wings too, guys, would make great, one more time, better. Would make great leaves too. I'm going to stamp the pale green on the red bird. Lovely. And then we're going to take the darker green ink, and then we can ink this up. I'm not even going to wipe it off. I'm going to ink up my second set of wings, and we'll stamp this on the brown bird. Okay, now we can clean these off. Put these back. And then we're going to grab our little heart, our love, and we're going to take a light, cotton candy, and I'm going to ink it up. I'm going to practice stamp on the side again because I know this has brown on it. Now, the light pink ink is going to be stamped on our dark brown bird. Lovely. And then we're going to stamp with our brown ink on our red bird. It looks so cute. Let's clean that off, and then we're going to do our little bird's feet. I'm going to stamp my brown bird's feet with my red ink. And then I'm going to stamp my red bird's ink with my brown ink. Actually, I'm going to stamp it with my green ink. Change my mind. I think the dark green ink will look better. Spread out the color a little bit. No. Take that back. Let's stamp with brown. If we have too much color going on, I think it's going to be distracting. So go back to the brown. Okay, so we got the feet. Now, we'll clean this off. We're going to have a boy bird and a girl bird, so I'm going to grab the lashes and that brown ink once more. And then for the lashes on the red bird, we're going to stamp the left lashes. And then we'll stamp the right. Making sure it's right side up here. Stamp those. Kind of hard to see, huh? And then we can grab, we're not going to put any lashes on the brown, but we are going to grab the nose. And I'm going to stamp one nose with brown ink on our red bird. And then we'll clean this off. And then on our brown bird, I'm going to use my red ink. Cute. That wing is a little bit off, you can see there, but I think it's workable still. One of them is going to be overlapping, so actually that looks kind of cute down there too. You can do some stamping on the inside of the card, guys. Okay, we're going to put this one back. And then we're going to, while we have our stamp, I'm going to take the sentiment that says birds and take our heart piece and our brown ink here, and we are going to stamp birds with the very bottom, if you could see here, very bottom here. Okay. This is going to go back, and then that's all the stamping that we're going to do. So we'll put these aside. Put this back in our package so I don't lose it. Such a cute stamp set. Oh, I just love it. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and take our scissors and fussy cut our two lovebirds out. Okay. I like to separate them. It just makes it easier for me to fussy cut. And I am leaving a little bit of a border. And this guy's done. Set that aside, and we'll do the same thing to... Actually, this looks more like a little girl than that one does. But that's okay. And we'll go around the bottom. If you wanted to add layers to these little guys, you could, but I'm just going to make it one layer. Okay, and you know what? We're going to stamp some trees. So we're not done stamping. Bring it back, guys. Okay, we're going to get our tree back, okay? Let's bring our tree back and stamp our tree. Let's stamp it a couple times. How about that? So you're going to need your brown ink and your finger daubers. I keep mine in the plastic bag only because since we're using inks, the inks like to stay. I mean, I have a holder, but that's more for oxide inks. Take your brown finger dauber, go over the tree trunk. Okay, and then take your dark green ink. Probably not a good idea to put it over our cardstock. And then we're going to go over our leaves with our moss ink, or dark green ink. We're going to stamp one here. I'm saving some room so we can stamp it again. Okay, let's ink it up one more time. This time I want to ink up the leaves first. And then I'll ink up the tree trunk. And then we'll stamp this. Lovely, that one's stamped better. Let's stamp it one more time. Let's do the leaves first. That one looks better. So maybe doing the leaves first looks a lot nicer. Okay, do another tree trunk. Again, you guys will only need 2 of these. Okay, and then we will stamp this. Better. Yeah, this was a little light, so I needed 2 of the same colors because we're going to put them on the opposite ends. So, let's take our scissors back and our little package so I don't get ink everywhere. Okay, clean off our stamp. And put this back. Okay, I'll put that back later. Let's trim around these. use our scissors and fussy cut around these. Shouldn't take no time at all because these are pretty easy. I am going to go on the inside of this tree branch. Go up along the tree here. I think it just looks better when you add a little dimension to it. And again, if you guys have a scan and cut, you could use that. But I don't mind this. It doesn't take me too long. Go around the edges. Go down this trunk because I think it looks nicer. Go up along the bigger leaves. And voila! Okay, tree branches are good. Let's zoom back out. Now what we're going to do is take our heart and then we're going to add a little adhesive behind our tree branch here. We're going to go probably down the middle. Flip it around and add the other one here. Add a little space because I do want a little bit overhanging like this. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and add our birds. We're going to need some foam squares. Okay, and we're going to overlap them. It's so cute. I just think they're so adorable. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and grab our little keys. I couldn't find a locket that was small like these little keys. I just love these keys though. So we are going to go ahead, take two of them. There's one that's shaped like a little heart. There's two of them actually. I'm going to grab one of those and then the other one. And then we're going to take our twine and thread it through our keys. Okay, now what I didn't do was leave you guys a glue dot. So if you have a glue dot, you could use that. But I'm going to tie a knot, and then I'm going to take this and tie a bow. And trim the tails. You have a little bit of extra twine there. And then I'm going to trim a small foam square. This is pretty sticky stuff. We're going to put it just between the two birds, basically right at the point going up. Since I didn't add any glue dot, I think this is going to work out. Take your keys, kind of spread them out a little bit so you don't hide the birds, and then attach your little keys there. You can kind of trim the tails of your bow a little bit. You could actually go a little higher with this. Maybe have it so where, guys, the tops of your keys are hitting that foam square. That works out better. Okay. We're hiding. Let's scoot this foam square up carefully. And then I can add the bow a little higher. I didn't want to obstruct the birds, so we see lovebirds. There we go. Okay, now we're going to flip over our panel and add some foam adhesive behind here. I think 4 is good. And then this is going to go in the center of our card. You know what, guys? What we can do, maybe, how would this look down here? Yeah. Remove that foam adhesive. I didn't want to obstruct our birds. Take another small piece, since we damaged that one. Put it in the center, just below our little heart. And then we can add our bow to that. Even better. I like that a lot better. Don't you? Okay. Next, all we have to do is add our eyes. And again, if you guys don't want eyes, use your little glaze and go over the eyes of your owl. Don't want to lose these. But we can just remove the release paper. Without stabbing myself. There we go. And add these. 1. It's easier to pick it up with your tool, your craft pick. Add another one. Now add our last one. And get rid of these ones. Then we can take our little lacquer, and again we can go over the nose by adding a little drop, and then taking your craft pick and kind of pulling it down. So we have a nice shiny nose. And then I'm going to go over the love with the glaze too. If you add 1 drop and use the nozzle, again like I mentioned earlier, this one you have to kind of lift up the wings. Kind of go under the wing a little bit if they're overlapping. You don't want it on the wing. And then a little, I didn't realize that these were going to be really tough to squeeze that out. But that, if you have some that's overlapping, you can use your craft pick, kind of pick up that mess, or your nail. And then that is our final card. Okay, now that we have this done, my camera stopped. I'm at the 30-minute mark, guys. So I have to continue on. So I had to push start again, but I think this is such a cute little card. That is lesson number 4. But before we go, we're going to go ahead and make our envelopes really fast. Okay, so we'll let this sit aside to dry. I'm actually going to add a little bit more because I smushed it a bit. Okay, we'll set this one aside to dry. And that's more like a Valentine's Day card. I think that turned out really cute. Okay, let's take our envelopes. The downfall about having pattern paper that has words on it is that when you put them in the envelopes, they're not straight. You know what I mean? They're at a diagonal, but it still looks pretty. So I just put the paper in there anyway. It was extra paper. What you do is add adhesive to the very top where the curve is here, and then you can go down also. Okay, all four corners actually. And then open up your envelope, tuck it in. Don't place it down yet. Kind of evenly space it from here to here. Don't hit the lick and stick area. And then once you're happy with it, you can tack it down. And then I'm off this paper. These envelopes aren't the best quality, but they're on the larger side for dimension. And so we can do this one and pull this down a little bit. And I think that's nice. And then you could use your bone folder or just use the score line on your envelope to fold it over. And then press that down and then you're good. But I just think a card with a matching envelope looks so nice. Don't you guys? Okay, so that's one envelope. Let's do another one. And it would help if you could see. Let's take this one. And then I'll do this one, all four sides. And then the side that has the rounded corner, open up your envelope, put it at a diamond shape, and then kind of line up that top corner. Then you can turn the bottom around. A little tricky. And that looks good. Get folded over. Kind of following along with that crease. This paper is a little bit thicker, so it's going to give a little stability to your envelopes, which is nice since they're on the thinner side. And then we have our tickets. Let's do the same thing to this. Once you get started, you get like on a roll and are easier to do. There's our tickets. And then we'll do our last one. Kind of open it up a little bit, tuck it in there. And the key is not pressing down just yet. That looks good. Then fold it over along that score line. And then we have our four pretty envelopes. And then we have lesson number 4. And then we have, grab these, lesson number 3. And then we have lesson number 2. It looks really bright on camera, but you can tell it's a little bit dulled down. And then you have our first lesson number 1. So we have a miss you card. We have a just because love card. You have love is in the air. That could be a just because card. Then you kind of have a little Valentine. So it could be great for anyone. But that is the Love is in the Air classroom. I hope you guys had a great time. I'm sorry about all the errors. If you don't mind them, I encourage you guys to check out next month's classroom. It's going to be just as fun. But I'm loving this, and I hope you guys are enjoying the card projects too. Have a great day. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you in the classroom next month. Bye-bye, guys.